All right, again, welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. I'm Jacob Letman, you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. Our subscribers, thank you guys. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, get with it. Get with the program. Click subscribe. And, all right, here's kind of what I want to do for you guys today. I want to talk about why I quit my job to start driving for Lyft. Kind of how that whole transition happened for me and where it's progressed to now. It's been about 3.5 years, and so I think it's I think this is a great topic, just so you guys can get a little bit of insight, more insight about who I am, how it's worked out for me. So I was in California, Southern California, glorious Southern California, beautiful. It was fall of 2016, but let's back it up a little bit. I was teaching golf full-time for a company called Golf Tech, which, love my people at Golf Tech. Shout out to you guys. It was a fun job. I'm a great golfer. I'm a great instructor. I don't think I made anyone worse. No, I'm kidding. I was a good instructor. I really liked the job, but one of the things for me is that I was working inside. So it was basically a 9 to 5, working inside, teaching golf lessons. And I remember just sitting there on my lunch break looking outside and thinking how beautiful it was and how much I wish I was outside. Anyway, that aside, I was also taking acting classes. My background is I have a degree in communications as well as theater, and I love the entertainment industry. And so I was teaching golf, but I was also taking acting classes, and I got picked up by an agent at a point, came to one of my acting classes. We did a scene, and the agent liked what I did and signed me on. And also, because I'm ethnically ambiguous, which is a good thing to be in the entertainment industry, which basically means you don't know what I am. Am I Mexican? Am I Puerto Rican? Am I Spanish? Am I Italian? You don't know. I'm Italian. That's why I got this dark skin. All right, anyway. So I got signed on by an agent, but they kept trying to send me to all these auditions, and I wasn't able to do it because I had a full-time job, and I couldn't just take off every time that an audition came up. So I was at this crossroads in my life, and thankfully, I got some support from family and friends, and I decided to give up my job where I was making good money to pursue acting. But don't pursue acting unless you've got a side way to pay your bills. That's that's my advice. So it's like, what am I gonna do? You know, everybody is a server, right? That's a lot of actors go that route. But there was this great thing called Uber and Lyft, and I decided, hey, well, I was like, I could do that. At the time, I was driving a 2000 Chevy Malibu, and that did not qualify to be a vehicle that was driven. So I had to get a new vehicle. Fortunately, I had really good credit at the time, and I'm going to make some more videos talking about the whole car buying process because I've done literally probably hundreds of hours of research at this point. So I'm a bit of an expert on that. But that's another topic for another day. So I was like, well, I need a new vehicle. So I started doing a lot of research, and, you know, I was looking at like hybrids and fuel efficient vehicles, and then I kind of figured out, I was like, well, you know, the Toyota, Honda, Mazda, what other vehicles was I looking at? Ford, kinda. Anyway, here's what I knew. I knew that I wanted a vehicle that was very reliable, meaning I wouldn't have to take it into the shop a lot, and I wanted a vehicle that got really good gas mileage. And so I started like looking at years that I could afford, and I was like, how much do I want to pay? Anyway, eventually I narrowed it down after a lot of research, and I decided I'm going to get a 2014 to 15 Mazda 3, which gets 30 miles per gallon city, 40 highway, which is true. My car's averaged out to 35 miles per gallon since I've had it. And I started shopping around, was able to secure a loan online, which made me a cash buyer, which gave me a lot of negotiating power when I went to the dealership. And I ended up getting my vehicle, which I paid with tax $13,000 and some odd dollars. And there have been pros and cons to that. So the pros being that this vehicle has been super sturdy, knock on wood. It's only required brakes, tires, oil changes. Honestly, that's it. That's all it's required, nothing else. I haven't had to do any other work on it. Now, though, because I've put on 100,000 miles in 3.5 years, my suspension is starting to have some issues. So, which is to be expected with how many miles we put on driving, right? So anyway, car situation worked out great. And my plan was, to drive in the mornings, at nights. Actually, I didn't know. I had no idea. The research at that time, 3.5 years ago, wasn't even that good out there. There was a lot of information and misinformation. I come to find out more as I start to drive that it's a hard business to put your finger on exactly what you can expect because of the differences in different cities and demand with places, and just it's so different all over the place. What I found though is that I could probably figure to earn about $15 an hour, which is about the case after you know what you're doing. So started out really bad. I thought in my mind, I was like, I'll turn on the app, I'll turn on Lyft, and there'll just be ride requests all day, and I can work as much as I want, and I'll just make money all the time. Not thinking that there was actually strategy involved with it, and that I kind of needed to know what I was doing. So that was a learning curve. I would say took me a good at least 4, 5, 6 months before I had a grasp on how to make money, how to set a schedule, how to manage my time, which was tough. It was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't have a whole lot of money saved up to fall back on. And rent in California, extremely expensive. Life in California, extremely expensive. Or it is, at least when you're not making good money. So kind of the pros and cons of that was it took me a while to figure out driving. I was going to auditions, though, getting my foot in the door, making some money with that. So I made it work. I drove a lot of nights, a lot of weekend nights when I first started, which really kind of wore me out and threw my schedule all over the place because I was driving till like 3, 4 in the morning all weekend, and then it was hard to get up during the week. Anyway, made it work, figured out a system, made money, started to do more research on driving, found different resources to learn information, much like our channel, which is so beneficial. I think this is the type of profession that it's important to continue to do your research on because it's ever-changing, meaning the pay structure, the bonus structure, different cities are continuing to change laws so much, airport laws. It's ever-changing because we've got this new technology, this great platform that's helping to make transportation much easier, more affordable for people, but it's continually changing, especially for the driver. So I think it's important that we keep up on that, keep yourself educated on what's going on. So where am I at now 3.5 years later? Well, good question. Okay, so after I started driving in SoCal, nearly a year later, I moved out to Phoenix, and I had to go through the whole learning process again because each city different, right? There's similarities, but there's a lot of differences. And so again, I had to figure out scheduling, where and when to drive. And the thing is, where I lived in Phoenix it was a lot more prominent for me to drive early mornings doing airport rides than it was to work the night scene, at least in my area, on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. That was a whole learning curve. A few more months I had to figure all that out. Eventually I started to get that process figured out here, and now I would call myself an expert on what that all looks like 2.5 years later out here. So I had to do all that work, due diligence, figure that stuff out. The good thing is, I would say this is one of the best things for me about working in a gig economy type job, is that it is flexible, which also allowed me to pursue other ventures part-time, because one of the big things I've found about driving for me is that here are some of the things I like. I like the freedom of being able to make my own schedule. I like being able to cash out whenever I need to. I like being able to, going along with schedule anytime, really being able to drive any time of day. I mean, obviously, pros and cons to how much you make with that. Yeah, so those things are all great. And it also, but some of the cons are, I get burned out doing any same job for long periods of time. So I haven't worked at any company really for more than, I think kind of like a year is kind of like my max. I stay at places, and talking about like 9-to-5 type jobs, just because I get burned out in that kind of an environment. I need new, exciting, which is why I love to act, happening things going on that, it's just keeps things exciting and fresh for me. And that's really something I value, that's important to me. So even if I start driving a lot, it starts to wear on me. It feels mundane. I do like to drive. I like the freedom of being in my vehicle, listening to music. It's a pretty mindless job for the most part. You get to meet cool people. That's all great, but it also just kind of sucks to drive and drive and drive and drive all the time. So that being said, the flexibility of driving and the flexibility of acting has given me an opportunity to look into other part-time opportunities. I've been able to figure out how to teach golf again part-time, which is great, and do other things in golf. My buddy and I, we work charity golf events, and also, like brand ambassador work, which is basically like conventions. Or rep hey, I'm gonna rep Kia at a golf tournament. You put on a Kia shirt and you talk about Kia vehicles, that kind of stuff. So it's all gig economy type opportunities. And so where I'm at now is I probably drive a lot less. I do drive a lot less than when I first started, which works best for me. And I think that's a big thing you got to figure out for yourself is how much I'm driving. Does this work for me? Do I like it? Do I love it? If you love it, great. Is this working out for me with my vehicle? Because there's options there, which you can refer to our other videos for. So anyway, what I'm getting at is I think it's important to figure out what works for you. Figure out what place in your life Uber and Lyft have for you. Are you driving as much as you like? Would you like to drive more? Are you driving too much? And know that there are other opportunities out there, gig economy type jobs that you could probably look into doing also part-time if that's what you want to do. But my hope for you is that you find your balance and find your happiness. So where am I at? Okay, so let's break it down. My acting career is doing a lot better than when I first started, even though I am in Phoenix. Knock on wood, we're also hoping to change tax incentives here in Phoenix and have more acting jobs more productions come to the state. That's another subject entirely. But I've built a good resume. I've built a good rapport with my agent and the casting directors and production companies here. So I'm well known, well established in the acting community here within 2.5 years. Still have my agent in Cali, so I go out there from time to time for what we call direct bookings, or if I can send in video auditions. So I'm making more of my income is coming from acting slowly but surely, and hopefully my goal is to do that full time at some point. I have more of a balance of my life because I still put in some good amount of time driving, and then I'll put in a lot of time if I need to make extra money. But I've also made some good connections, found some good other side opportunities to make money so I don't have to drive as much, making some videos like these. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. And the whole point of this video is just to kind of talk you guys through my progression, let you know where I'm at, just trying to be transparent with you guys. And anyway, to finish up, my advice is sit down, take account of, just write out pros and cons for driving and where you're at with that and if it's working for you. All right, you guys. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. If you got any questions, comments, feedback, jump down in the comments section below. Get at us. Let us know what you're thinking. Use that driver referral. Get signed up. Start driving for Uber. Make some extra money. And until the next time, drive safe, everyone.